Hello, it's just me now, but I've got a few news articles to look at talking about discount Tesla, but a few other things first. Madison Square Gardens had some kind of automated cameras for people who entered, and a woman who tried to enter with a whole bunch of teenage girls was blocked because the facial recognition recognized her from data that had been uploaded apparently from a coffee house somewhere else. And the result was she was a lawyer that worked for a company that had something to do with a lawsuit to the company that owns Madison Square Gardens. And they just added all the lawyers in the associated with the company to some list of people that are blocked by facial recognition. So she's suing for that. And it is just the kind of thing that, like I say, is in the last several years has caused many reputable companies like Microsoft to just pull out of facial recognition entirely. It leads to a real thorny situation. So, however, it must be it's very close to what facial recognition was designed for. The original motivation for all the research I heard was the Department of Homeland Security that said they wanted to put cameras up in airports and they wanted to recognize anybody walking by who was on the do not fly list just by their appearance. And it seems like a very similar use case here, although probably not so wise for Madison Square Garden, but it does demonstrate the technical capability that the Department of Homeland Security wants. So TikTok, Forbes accused TikTok months ago of spying on the journalists, and now because the data has become more public and more detailed, they can dump the whole story. And it turns out that TikTok is doing pretty much what the American regulators, like Congress and such, are afraid that they're doing. They take people they don't like, and they track their IP address on the phone and send it back to people in China. And this was being done by exactly the people in China who exactly denied doing it and claimed that it was impossible for them to do exactly what they did. So this does seem like it makes it a done deal that TikTok is going to be banned for government phones in America. And it's going to throw a lot of fuel on the fire of people that just want to ban TikTok entirely in America as a national security risk. A lot of people didn't want that. I didn't want that, but this seems like a real black eye, and looks like that is very much more likely to happen now. There's a surprising Linux kernel vulnerability, and I saw some people on Mastodon criticizing them, saying they shouldn't even have dumped it now. It doesn't even have a CVE number, but Zero Day Initiative has dumped it. They found a serious vulnerability in the kernel. I think this is the one with the CVSS score of 10.0. I can't remember the last 10.0 I saw. That's absolutely the worst. It gives you complete privilege on the kernel without any authentication. And so anyway, it supposedly has been patched. One thing about it, I think, is it would only apply to very modern versions of Linux kernel anyway. Most people don't use anything resembling the latest version of the kernel. Most production systems are quite a ways back, and probably a good thing. Anyway, that's a pretty exciting one. All it has is a ZDI number, 221690. It doesn't have a CVE number. So, all right. And an interesting chart here of the United States life expectancy. It has fallen a lot. They have a nice chart. It has fallen to the lowest level since 96. In 2017 or 18, the overall life expectancy in America was above 78. It is now down to about 76, and quite a gap between men and women. Women now have a decreased life expectancy of about 79, and men have a life expectancy of about 73 in America. And that has fallen by several years entirely due to COVID. So it is pretty bad, and continues to fall. Get vaccinated if you haven't. Anyway, DuckDuckGo has taken a very strange position. DuckDuckGo apparently has a browser. I know they have a search engine, and the whole point of them is you don't trust Google. So now if you try to log in anything with a Gmail account, they will block it. They regard you logging into Google as an intrusion on your privacy, and they're blocking it. And of course, most people, I don't like making a separate account at every website I go to. Most things I go to, you log in with people usually offer you Facebook, Google, or Microsoft, possibly Twitter logins. And that logging with third parties is quite popular. It is sort of a declaration of war for them to block Gmail logins. So we'll see what comes of that. Now, I know Apple was actually able to kill Flash by refusing to support Flash on the iPhone. And Apple was so important that people quit using Flash on websites because they couldn't tolerate not being visible on iPhones. And Apple forced the music industry to open their walled gardens and sell all their songs at a uniform price of 99 cents because they were so powerful that the music industry was not willing to not sell their products on the iPhone, and Steve Jobs was able to shove them around. But I do not think that DuckDuckGo is powerful enough to shove Google around or to wipe out Google or to persuade their customers to quit using Google, although maybe the last might be possible. Their customers might only be there because they hate Google. Anyway, it's a surprising move. So Tesla is apparently in really bad shape. Musk is in bad shape. He's sold something like $40 billion of his Tesla share this year. Tesla's price has fallen greatly. It keeps falling faster and faster every time he makes more of a complete disaster out of Twitter and makes more horrible public statements. Democrats pretty much hate Tesla and they hate Musk now. They're even selling their Tesla to avoid having anything to do with Musk, which is probably something I might do if I had a Tesla. I have a much superior vehicle, however. And so now there's a tax credit coming out on an EV. A $7,500 tax credit will be available next year, like in a week. And for some reason, Tesla is now discounting their products $7,500 for this last week of the year. So apparently they're desperate to have more sales this year, probably to meet some kind of projection goals. But it is definitely a sign of desperation. I mean, why would you cut prices when there's only a couple of weeks left in the year and the price cut will take effect next year? You're obviously effectively trying to cook the books by just making the annual sales change. So there must be some kind of drastic consequences for not meeting some goal. And more about Musk. So the first actual feature that is possibly of some value has finally appeared in Musk's new Twitter. Now, if you tweet or search a stock market ticker, it will pop up a link offering to help you to click that link to go buy or sell your stock that you're tweeting about on Robinhood. And the same thing for Bitcoin and Ethereum, although amazingly enough, not Dogecoin. So he is trying to integrate it with payments. Now, this was Musk's original idea, which was going to make money out of Twitter, was to make it into a universal payment app, because the thing he used to do was PayPal, and he just wants to make Twitter into PayPal. And the thing that strikes me, remember a few years ago, Mark Zuckerberg wanted to make Facebook into a cryptocurrency company so it would be your bank. And the problem with that is nobody trusted Mark Zuckerberg. And the whole world united to block him, saying, we do not trust Mike Zuckerberg to be the world's bank. Facebook has betrayed its customers too many times. And what Elon Musk did, if he had proposed this 2 months ago, a lot of people might have gone for it. I might have gone for it. But over the last 7 weeks, he has managed to persuade everybody who is not an alt-right Trump supporter or a Nazi that he is absolutely untrustworthy. And now he has leaked unredacted information about the Twitter's cooperation with the government and private information of people that he just handed off data to journalists. And without any control, without any redaction, he has shown himself manifestly to be untrustworthy, ill-intentioned, insane, given to conspiracy theories, given to vindictive revenge against his own employees and anybody that ever dares cross him, like Donald Trump. I wouldn't trust him with my money. I don't even trust him to have a Twitter account anymore. I'm not using it, and I may well delete it. So I don't know why he thinks anybody's going to trust him with your money. And I don't know why anybody would trust Robinhood with your money. Robinhood has been sued for being very malicious and tricking young men into gambling with money they can't afford to lose until they commit suicide. They're hardly an example of good financial practices. And jumping into cryptocurrency right now makes about as much sense as Donald Trump dumping in NFTs, although I did see a hint saying the only point of that was to launder money, which would make sense. You could take some money, like campaign, I don't know, try to launder money the way they do it when they publish books, but anybody expecting to make money off crypto or NFTs right now is dreaming. So anyway, it is a new feature, though, a new financial feature, which Musk said he was going to put in Twitter. And one of the doctors from the Simone Gold, who is one of the America's Frontline Doctors, has offered to help Elon Musk do medical fact checks on Twitter. And she is one of the lunatics. She's in the same group that Ron DeSantis's top doctor in Florida comes from. These are groups that supported hydroxychloroquine. She's the person that said that people get various diseases because they're having sex with demons in their sleep. Like they get venereal disease that way or something. And they claim that the vaccines are experimental biological agents and they're going to hurt you. And they're just the craziest possible fake quack doctors in the world. And she wants to be on Musk's Twitter disinformation campaign, but he hasn't responded to that because, of course, Musk does not think there should be any disinformation campaign at all at Twitter. You should just be allowed to lie all you want. And that's certainly the way it is now. All content moderation and disinformation has been disbanded and consists of just Musk petulantly throwing anybody off who happens to offend him and then forgiving them the next day. So there is nothing resembling fact-checking on Twitter anymore, as far as anybody can tell. And he said that. He doesn't want to waste any money on humans checking facts. He just wants to have some automated process where people vote or something so he doesn't have to work on it and doesn't have to pay anybody to do it. And anyway, Snoop Dogg has offered to run Twitter. Musk says he'll step down if he can find somebody else to take over. And Snoop Dogg put up a poll for that, and millions of people voted for him. He won by a large majority. So I would much rather see Snoop Dogg run it than any of the PayPal mafia that Musk has got there. But I think when Musk says he's going to hand it off to somebody, he just means he'll hand it off to one of his buddies, and they'll just do the same things he would have done. That's appears to be all he means. Anyway, Jacinda Ardern, the president of New Zealand, or perhaps Prime Minister of New Zealand. She is a very savvy politician. I've been very impressed with her activities, but she did get frustrated with another politician, and she called him an arrogant prick when she walked back to her seat, and she was on a live mic. So not only did the audience hear it, but the recorder heard it and made an official record of her calling the other politician an arrogant prick. And so rather than lie about it or cover it up, she admitted it. She apologized, and now they have auctioned off the transcript of her calling this guy an arrogant prick for charity and got $100,000 for it. So I'm just very impressed with the class of this. I mean, this is the way to handle an embarrassing thing that happens. You apologize, you don't lie about it, you don't cover it up, and you try to turn it into a lighthearted joke that benefits somebody. It is so much better than having a civil war about it, which seems to be the American way these days. And the last one was pretty amazing. JFK Airport in New York City. They have a taxi dispatch system where the taxis have to go to a special lot to wait for their turn, often for hours before they move forward. And so somebody hacked the computer system, and they told the taxi drivers that for $10 you could jump to the front of the line. And they made money doing this for years. And now they're going to get 10 years in prison for it. But they made not an enormous amount of money, something like $10,000. Oh, $10,000 in daily revenue. Well, that's a lot more. And they did this for years before they got caught. So that's an interesting form of crime that I hadn't come across before. And okay, that's it. It's Tuesday, and I think I'll probably come back on Friday. Might be just me because other people might like have a life or something. But I don't think Friday is Christmas. Let me just take a look. Nope. Oh, this is Friday. It should be Tuesday after Christmas, be the logical time. I imagine I'll be back Tuesday, but who knows? I'm traveling. I might be stuck in a blizzard or sleeping in an airport waiting for a flight to go through. God only knows. I'll try and come up with something on Tuesday, though. Farewell.